Albania 0, England 2. Harry Kane scored a second-half brace to seal England's 100% record in qualification. No goals conceded, 22 of them scored. Harry Kane's now got more international goals than Pele. The debate is over.
This feels like being in like one of your dreams.
Yeah.
Surely it can't be this good. Surely it can't be as efficient as that.
Yeah, I mean, but it is, Jim.
And what's worth pointing out is that Harry Kane was very much the central conductor in a jazz ensemble of an England side as well. It was a very experimental lineup.
It was a bit.
It's all the notes they didn't play, not just the notes they did play.
Yes.
And it was also, I would say, what I would term a stern test.
Yeah, I agree.
Sterner than perhaps maybe people thought and maybe people giving Albania credit for.
On that evidence, Albania are definitely the second best team in that group.
Yep.
Yeah,
For sure.
they've had a pretty good campaign, haven't they? They themselves are also, they've finished second. Tricky opposition. I thought very, very well organised and very, very good on the break. And actually, there were points where I'm thinking they're probably going to score here. Actually, I think this record might be under threat. Yeah, they had a couple of chances, didn't they? Where you think maybe they should have done better. One in particular that was shot straight at Dean Henderson.
That one particularly, because that showed you how Albania, their shortcomings based on the very small sample size that I've seen of them, that in microcosm was exactly what their problem is. Because if you look at their goal scoring record in the group, 7 goals in 8 games.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near enough. But up to the 18-yard box, just a very well-drilled team, they look to me. Like, they look confident. They look like a team who realised they might well have to do something. And they set about their task really well, I thought.
The back line was interesting, the way it was kind of, they'd squeezed the play a little bit. It was very congested in the centre of the pitch.
They did it on purpose, didn't they?
Yeah. Of course, yeah. And you've got to give him credit for that and sort of dropping off. But nice to see former Arsenal man Silvinho, as always.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done a really good job there.
An underrated player in his day, I would
Should
argue.
point out, in the dugout, not playing.
No.
Yeah, of course.
He's very much not Albanian and very much not still playing.
Yes, indeed. Important to make those points. It was a much changed England starting lineup. Only Kane, Rice, Stones and O'Reilly started both games during this international break. Dean Henderson played in goal. Good for him to be a part of this we keep calling this record-breaking campaign, which seems ridiculous. But
a glorious era.
A glorious era, indeed. Yeah. So it was good for Henderson to play, I think. Made a great tackle at one point outside the edge of outside his box.
Best of the game.
I would say so.
The guy who he tackled made the most of it as well. He rolled off the screen.
Exactly.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
And Adam Wharton started, of course, his fellow Crystal Palace teammate. What did you think of Wharton, Luke Moore?
Yeah, I thought he did a decent job. Obviously picked up a booking, didn't he? But he got through his work pretty well. Like you said, it was very congested in the middle of the pitch. And England just really didn't have it all their own way at all. And it took them a decent amount of time of steady work, actually, to break Albania down. And it wasn't a huge surprise after they scored the first that they went on to score the second. But I thought he did okay. I thought he was fine. Did you think it was particularly good then?
No, not particularly good. I just thought it was good that he started.
Yeah,
the
of course.
Because I think we've been waiting for this for a while, and I think that with the way Wharton plays, it could be something that England could use next summer. I mean, we know his passing range is great. We know exactly where he plays. Definitely gives Declan Rice more license to do what he does for Arsenal. But having said that, though, I think most would agree that Elliot Anderson is in pole position. In fact, Tuchel said that himself, didn't he?
He's taken his chance really well. But I agree with both of you. I thought Wharton did okay. I think a big part of it is that it's not as simple as just like slotting into another team and playing as you do for your club straight away, right? And I did think there were a couple of quite encouraging first-time passes, which is a big, big part of Wharton's strength. And it's getting that ball moving quickly. So I think if he gets a few more chances, he might well be an option off the bench or as a rotation option at the actual tournament. I think if you can get him up to speed for England, and it's either him or Anderson, you're in good shape. Like whichever way you.
And I'd also like,
calibrate your midfield.
Sure, I'd like him to be used in a certain way, right? I'd like him to be used in a way where you want to keep the ball, you want to perhaps even protect a lead if you need to, you want to maintain some control in a game. I'm not saying that Wharton is necessarily at this point massively capable of being right at the very top of that. I think he's good, and he's got a lot of got a room to move as well. His ceiling's pretty high. But what I was interested about the 3 midfield players that England started with, Bellingham, Wharton, Rice, they were all substituted at some point, but he had the highest pass completion of all 3 of them. Right. Now, I know that Bellingham is trying much more progressive stuff and taking things on, and Rice is a different player as well. They're all different players. But I think when you're game is essentially revolving around a metronomic recycling of possession and controlling games, to have your pass completion percentage that high is a good sign. And Water's was way up and above over 90%. So look, I think he's a brilliant player, and I think he's well worth his place in the squad. And I think, if Tuchel is saying that we've not even conceded a goal in this qualification route so far, and we want to blood people in and we want to give them a chance in a tricky away game, because Tuchel probably thinks, I could start walking at home to whoever, to Andorra, whatever, or whoever it may be. But what am I going to get out of that? And whereas at least away from home in Albania, having the luxury to do that and seeing what he's all about is good. And I thought, look, I would say if it's an examination, I thought he passed it.
It's a proper game. Yeah.
I don't think it was an A+ pass, but I think it was a pass.
Yeah, and also Jarrell Kwanzaa, of course, came into the side, and Tuchel was very pleased with him. I mean, he made a little error, didn't he, when he played the ball back? But again, it all seemed to be pretty solid stuff from England. Eze and Bowen flanking Kane.
Yeah.
I think when Rashford and Saka came on, there was a little bit more. But then, again, you'd argue that that's where there's tiredness in the opposition.
And also when Foden and Eze came on in the previous game, you could say the same thing. And I think this is actually the exciting thing about it. And I think Tuchel is managing this really well. There is a sense that when players come on, they're just part of the team. There's not. Hopefully, there won't be too much narrative about the big names who aren't starting, because they can't all start. So you have to foster this kind of attitude towards it that that they are all as important as each other. And I think he's doing that really well, actually.
Yeah, I do agree with that. He did say, of course, only a few days ago that Foden, Bellingham, and Kane can't play in the same team. And of course, we saw them on the pitch.
Was he trying to sort of show that?
Yeah, maybe
it was jazz.
Yeah,
it was jazz.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that when he says that, I mean, obviously it's not a big deal because, again, it's not a tournament. England have not just had a bad result and suddenly all the focus and attention is on that. But again, the way he just kind of says, we just wanted 2 number 10s on the pitch and we just sort of did it. Again, the way he kind of is with the media, he seems to do it very well. But much has been made of Jude Bellingham, of course, apparently being unhappy about his substitution. And this is, I think, getting a little bit overblown now. I understand the point. The talking points in the previous camp was he didn't pick Bellingham. He said it was because he wasn't up to speed and there was a slight injury issue or whatever.
And he said the squad he picked before and the one before that had done so well and he didn't want to change it as well.
Yeah, and obviously his comments about Bellingham prior to that are going to catch headlines as well.
And his mum's comments.
And his
his dad breaking into the dressing room at Dortmund as well.
Yeah. Do you think he messed it up? Do you think he because one could normally say, well, a friend of mine thinks this and he's got his mum. And he's like, oh, sorry, mum.
Sorry, you said I think he's what? Repulsive. Yeah, I said he's repulsive. And is that as bad as it in English as it is in? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I think
Tuchel, you said he does the media very well. You also slagged off England fans at Wembley as well.
And the other day claimed not to be a fish.
No, but when
he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, no,
which is refreshing.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think that when I say he works the media very well, I'm not saying that he's politician-like. I'm saying that he just says it, and because a lot of the journalists, and I get what it's their job. They were digging about this Bellingham thing when his arms kind of went up, and well, did he celebrate? Well, he did celebrate with Harry. Like I think he went over to Rashford first, and then came. So that puts that to bed. And when he came off the pitch, because at first I didn't see all this stuff.
No, I didn't see it.
He comes off. And he seems, a few little, high fives, whatever, shakes Tuchel's hand and sits down. I thought, what's the big deal? But apparently when, the footage shows that he's going, for crying out loud,
He doesn't want to come off. That's
exactly.
Fine.
And I think when Tuchel's being asked this, Tuchel was saying, he doesn't like it, Morgan Rogers didn't like not starting.
Yeah.
And then he says, look, I'll review this. And I think that's the difference. Okay, you keep asking me questions, I'll review it.
Yeah.
Okay, not you.
Yeah.
And really, to me, to suggest that if people have got this angle that, well, Bellingham can't be in the camp because he's, a certain type of character. I think it's bollocks.
I do.
Self-sabotage, isn't it?
I think.
But I do think Tuchel sent him a message last time and just said, okay, just remember I'm in charge.
Sure. And I think that's right.
Yeah.
Because he is in charge.
Yeah.
I do find the body language around Bellingham interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to be one of these kind of tabloidy types, and you guys are right to kind of nip in the bud that stuff you're talking about there. I get
but there is something to be said, though.
Against Serbia, when he came on, I found his body language really interesting. And look, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. I've never played top-level international football, so I could be wide of the mark here. But I have played football with teammates and that kind of stuff. And what I noticed about Bellingham, and I've thought this for a while, is that he never applauds a through ball. He never thumbs up a guy who's had the right idea, but it's not quite worked. He never kind of acknowledges. So what happened quite a few times against Serbia is ball goes through to Bellingham. Bellingham takes a player on, whatever, tries to shoot, and it gets deflected out for a corner, for example, which happened a couple of times. Mm-hmm. He grabs the ball straight over to take the corner. He's never like acknowledging of his teammates. And I'm not saying it is the case, but I do think there's something in the idea that perhaps I could get on board with perhaps some of his other teammates thinking he's a bit of a bore, a bit of a kind of, it's all about me. Now, I also think that is probably a bit of what England need. I think there's probably a little bit of belief that's needed. Certainly, if you look into the build-up of the last tournament, the Adidas advert, you got this, Jude, that kind of stuff. England as a football culture and as a fandom kind of needs something they can hang their hat on. And it can be Beckham, it was Rooney, it's been Owen, it's been Gascoigne, it's been all these people over the years. And if it can be Bellingham, then fine, because we tend to seem to need that as a fan group, right? But I do think there's definitely something in the way he carries himself. It's not a big stretch to say that could rub people up the wrong way. I don't know him, never met him, never seen him behind the scenes or anything like that. But just based on what you see in the games, there is a bit of that about that, Marcus. I don't think that's the same as being pissed off or being subbed off, because loads of players are like that. Yeah. You see players kick shit over all the time. So I'm not looking into that specifically. But I think his demeanour more broadly is of interest.
No, you're right. I mean, when he scored that goal against Slovakia in the Euros, he's giving it, he's answering back. And I remember thinking, well, who are you talking to? Because actually everyone's been saying you're great. And he's had an awful lot of attention at a young age, and I think he wants the weight of the nation on his shoulders. But he's a young man and he's inexperienced, and I think at some point that goes. I mean, when you say about the demeanour and all the rest of it, he was the only one that went over to Harry Kane when he missed that penalty in Qatar to grab him and say, "Oi, come on, that's gone now. Let's go." The only one to do that. So yes, also we mentioned before, after the Euros final, the defeat to Spain, he's going around and trying to gee everybody up and go, "Come on, don't sit down, don't look defeated." And they're like, "But we have been defeated.
Yeah,
I just need a moment." So he's definitely got the potential to be a little bit divisive. There's no doubt about that. And what you just said, I take. I just think that if he shows a tiny little bit as he did there, I think let's not go over the top and try and sort of suggest that this guy is just not fit for the England camp. Tuchel is acutely aware of this. And again, I think he's handling it quite well.
The Slovakia thing, was it when he said after the game, it's nice to prove some people wrong and stuff?
Yeah. So,
who though? No one's ever said you're not brilliant.
This is what I find really interesting about it, and what I think is interesting about Jude Bellingham's character. I think it's a Michael Jordan thing. In the last dance, he talks about having to create enemies, and Maradona was the same. You get these people where it's like victory has to be against someone or something.
We're the same with Football Weekly in the FSA.
Absolutely, very much so. So I remember the quotes you were talking about, even though I don't remember them, what they sort of literally were. But he was talking about, people have always said I've not been able to do this. People have always doubted me. And it's like, first I heard of you was that you might be England's best ever player. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of narrative is.
You hang out with me a lot.
I'm not aware of it, so I think it is very much that he needs that, and I have no issue with that at all.
For the avoidance of doubt, I love Bellingham. I think he's a brilliant player. I think he's got a touch of real class that a lot of other players don't have. The way he glides past players, he sometimes just seems levels above everyone else on the pitch, and it happens far too often for it to be a coincidence. And I think, like I said, again, to be balanced about it, there's nothing wrong with a bit of swagger and a bit of overconfidence. In this country, we're very uncomfortable with people who are confident. We don't like it. We like to be self-deprecating, and Bellingham goes against that. And I think England could do with that. I think we need a lot more of that, generally speaking. But I do think his body language around his teammates is of interest and something that's worth looking at.
He was voted England Player of the Match by the fans.
Yeah. Kane scored two, so that's a bit odd, but
but he had a good game, didn't he?
I think
he worked really hard. He was trying really hard. Not everything came off, but I suppose when you are the type of player that's always looking for the spark, you have to forgive a bit of that because it's not going to work 100% of the time.
Yeah, but I think though that Tuchel did say, didn't he, that England can't be reliant on particular players. Now, quite clearly, if there was an injury to Kane, that would be, wouldn't be too good. But with Bellingham, England have a lot of other options in that area of the pitch. And I think with Tuchel, he's saying, look, Jude, you need to be pulling in exactly the same direction as everybody else. You need to be behaving in a certain way. There are these other little bits and pieces that are around him. As I say, it came out not that long ago that Bellingham doesn't do a lot of the press stuff for England. So there is there's a uniqueness about him, I suppose, in there. And Tuchel's maybe looking at that thinking, I'm not quite comfortable with that. I'm just going to knock a few edges off here. And if that's what he does, great. But look, at the end of the day, Bellingham played the vast majority of the game. Rightly or wrongly, the England fans voted him as the player of the match.
And absolutely right. And Jim's right to point out. I mean, I would always say that you've got to try things in the final third, right? Mm-hmm. If you're being asked, this used to happen with Sterling all the time. Do you remember people have a lot of digs at Sterling in the build up to tournaments, and maybe even in the group stage of the tournament, saying he gives the ball away. Look, he's trying stuff in the final third at incredible speed.
Yeah.
If 1 in 4 comes off, it's a goal. That's his job, right? And there's a bit of Bellingham about that. He knows that he takes the ball, he moves forward, and he looks for what he looks for. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but he's got to keep doing it. Mm-hmm. And taking chances in the final third is a massive part of the type of player that Bellingham is. I thought he was good against Albania. I thought he was really good.
Also, I think he does it all over the pitch as well. There was a chance he made for Jared Bowen where the keeper made a really good save, which came from Bellingham's industry and obviously, Bowen's quick thinking as well. Like he's doing it all over the place.
He is, yeah. I mean, it is intriguing because Cole Palmer's still to come back as well, and
hopefully he'll do the press. Right, it's win-win.
yeah,
that'd be over. I've been up in a quarter of the time.
Yeah.
I do have a feeling about Phil Foden for England. I know Phil Foden, some people might say that maybe he's not hit the highs that he has at Manchester City. He's played in a few tournaments now for England, but I don't know. There's something about Foden. Maybe it is as an impact sub. I don't know, but there's a small sample size, but there does seem to be, could just be me talking nonsense here, but an enjoyment or an elevated glide that he seems to have in an England shirt. I don't know.
You mean recently?
Yeah, in the last sort of couple
He's looked comfortable in those two appearances, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you're playing more centrally. Obviously, he's playing really well for Man City again after having a little bit of time due to whatever reason. So, I think I'm just really, the last couple of games has been really good seeing Phil Foden back in an England shirt.
And the spotlight's off him a little bit, isn't it? Because obviously, Bellingham sucks a lot of the kind of press attention. Cole Palmer will be similar when he's fit again. I think maybe that suits Foden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you might be right.
Also, England's 2 goals. The second goal was a great ball in. First goal was a proper Johnny on the spot kind of striker's goal. And what was pleasing about that first goal was that's the type of goal that you want England to score from nowhere in like a knockout game in a tournament, right? And Albania were decent. They're not. Albania aren't going to, if they get there, they're not going to get to the latter stages of the World Cup. But against a robust enough opposition where you really have to scrap and ride your luck a bit and find a goal from somewhere, it was pleasing that England scored that opening goal in the way they did. And then the second goal's of really good quality. So all in all, a good international break for England again. The third one in a row now where it's been really encouraging.
And speaking of that first goal, Harry Kane says he wants England to write an NFL-style playbook for set pieces at the World Cup.
I kind of thought they did do that already.
I'm sure they do.
There's always been showing stuff on iPads, aren't they, when they're coming off the bench?
He doesn't want an iPad, he wants a book.
Yeah, the quarterbacks have a lot of them have a wrist thing where they read it on the wrist.
Oh, right. Is that right?
Yeah, they have loads of them written down on a wrist
like
pad.
Tony Stark, so a little pop-up.
Yeah, basically, Tom Brady used to have one of those. It's not as technologically advanced as that, But
the little hologram of the manager. Do this.
He's only there.
Well, I can see you. There's a 3-second delay.
Yeah. Just talk to me.
Aren't you mic'd up?
Yeah. Right, Jude, I'm going to talk to you only through holograms from now on. And so are your teammates.
I mean, the set piece playbook makes all the sense in the world, doesn't it? Because they are.
Harry Kane just want to talk about NFL again.
Yeah, mate. I think you're probably right there. Actually,
that's it. You're
right.
Yeah. We wear helmets. No.
Yeah. Well, we will be talking about England's best starting 11 ahead of the World Cup on tomorrow's mailbag.
Are we doing our own individual ones? Are we talking about which ones we'd have?
Just wait till tomorrow.
All right.
Okay. Hit follow in your podcast app so you don't miss it. Right then, coming up after this, Ireland enjoy a very famous night in Budapest.
This episode is sponsored by Hire, official global partner of Liverpool Football Club. Hire has been ranked #1 global major appliances brand for 16 consecutive years, and that is because Hire products are designed to make everyday life just that little bit more personalised. With an innovative combination of performance and style, Hire has a massive range of amazing appliances. There's the washing machine that can keep your clothes fresh for up to 12 hours after a cycle has ended, so if you forget that you've left your clothes inside, and let's be honest, we've all done that and will continue to do so, then you don't need to rewash them. Then there's the oven with a built-in camera that can recognise your food and make sure it's cooked to your liking. There are smaller appliances like the kettle with a keep warm function so you don't have to keep reboiling boiling it, or the blender that not only makes smoothies and soups, but also has a kneading function that can be used to make dough. All appliances connect via the Hon app, which gives you tips on how best to stack the dishwasher, provide recipe inspiration for dinner, and get this, it can even recommend the best wine to pair with it. Haier is spelled H-A-I-E-R, and we're offering a discount on their amazing products. Just use the discount code HIREPOD for a 10% discount across the Haier website, which is www.haier.co.uk. That's HAIER.co.uk with the discount code HIREPOD.
Last throw of the dice. It's all on this from Queevy Kelleher. Scales is up after it. Scales wins the header. The chance! Yeah! Oh, there's the goal! There's the goal! That's Troy Parrott. That is unbelievable. He scored a hat-trick. And right at the death, Ireland have done it. I've never seen anything like it.
Thanks to friend of the Ramble, Liam, for sending us that clip.
How can you not like international football?
So
I can't wait for the Premier League. I want the Premier League back, Jim. I want it back.
Yeah.
I want the Premier League back.
Where's my Premier League? Why will I watch Fulham Sunderland again?
Oi!
All right, let me look at another one. I want to watch Brighton against Brentford.
There we go. There we are.
Although I'll change my tune on Friday when I'm back. I'll tell you how good Brighton v Brentford's going to be on Friday if that's what you want.
Yeah, that's what you're paid to do.
Exactly. That was fucking unbelievable.
What I love is that's Troy Parrott.
Yeah.
It's like that's Troy Parrott's music.
Yeah, it was like saying like Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
It's the repeated turnarounds within the game. It's just such drama, such pure drama, and it was all fueled, I think, by the result they got at the weekend. You know, the sense that they had that feeling. You know, they know they can do it, and it meant they were just dogged the whole way through it. I fucking
love they beat Portugal. Cristiano got sent off.
So good.
I was angered I didn't get a chance to be on the show to talk about that. Angered because that is all you could hope for.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something. With Ireland, right, started this qualification campaign pretty poorly, and you thought, it's going that way again.
They lost in Armenia, didn't they, for example?
Yeah, and I don't think anybody thought it would end like this. It's fair to say Ireland have not had a good time in recent years in international football. The last tournament they got to was 2016. They haven't been to the World Cup since 2002. And this is at a time when, you know, other countries that are in very close proximity, you know, England have obviously, not that they would sort of compare, but, you know, doing much better at tournaments. Yeah. Scotland have been qualifying.
Wales have had a great time.
Wales, indeed, World Cups and European Championships. So, again, for them to there was a danger early on. It's just another throwaway qualification campaign. Like, there's no gimme. There's no gimme that, well, the next one. It's kind of like, well, all very well planning for the future, but what about the here and now? And getting Hal Grimsom in, I think, is, you know, one of those things of like, right, we just need a guy who's done it with an unfancied nation. And in they come, and they go into their last two games, home to Portugal. You know, you look at that Portugal squad, it's a solid side. I mean, they just won 9-1 for crying out loud. And then away to Hungary. We know what a dogged opponent they can be. In fact,
with some real quality in the team as well.
Recently beat England 4-0, of course, you know. So you wouldn't well, if they need two victories, you kind of go, nah.
Portugal at home and Hungary away.
Exactly. Yeah. 4 points would be kind of unthinkable. They get that result, as you say. But even this game, they're down after 3 minutes.
Yeah.
The character of this side has come through. And I think that is worth its weight in gold, because how many times do you hear, you know, countries say, it's typical, we get ourselves into position and then boom. And even when, you know, Parrott scores a penalty, Varga, which is now one of the great forgotten goals in qualification.
Yeah. It's absolute beauty.
It was a peach, yeah. And then, you know, 10 minutes left, Parrott scores again. But that goal, Route 1 stuff, nips in. I mean,
it's one of those goals where you look at it and you think, is that going to be a high boot? Is it offside?
Ray Houghton in the coat.
There are thousands of reasons it feels like that might not be give it, but you see it and you're like, no.
Ray Houghton said, I don't want to see this again because I'm worried it's offside. It's about 15 yards offside.
That's what VAR does to you. That's what it does to you.
Yeah.
Just incredible. The scenes of celebration with Parrott.
Yeah.
Parrott, when he sort of does the knee slide and he's got the top off, that picture will be around pubs in Ireland, of course. And then they've got to defend. There's like another couple of minutes.
Well, they've also secured their place in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, there's a
long way to go.
There is a long way to go, but I'm not sniffy about that at all, and I don't think anybody is, because this seemed so unlikely to have two very famous wins back to back in very unlikely circumstances when they've been, as I say, pretty poor in recent qualification campaigns, to put it mildly. To pull two results, you can have one famous night at home, Ronaldo sent off and all the rest of it. To go and do that,
And
in the manner they did.
Being 2-1 down in the 80th minute as well.
Yeah.
You think you've come this far.
Exactly.
And it's looking like a noble failure.
Oh, my
but
goodness.
to have the rocket fuel needed to get that over the line is absolutely incredible stuff. And whoever they get in the playoffs, I hope they get through.
Yeah.
He's having a great time, Troy Parrott. He's scoring lots of goals for AZ. He looked brilliant in this game, really lively. It was amazing scenes. It really was.
His post-match interview was so emotional.
Yeah.
It almost felt like watching a movie about the incident in 20 years' time.
Well, with Steve Coogan, presumably. And,
yeah.
Yeah, doing the Saipan thing, yeah.
Well, he said, didn't he, after the Portugal night, he's like, he said something like, this will be the best night of my life. And then after this one, I would never have a bet like this in my whole life. And he'll score 4 in the playoff, and he'll be like, oh, well, it just keeps getting better. But yeah, 5 goals for ex-Tottenham man, Troy Parrott, in this international Spurs don't need him.
No, I don't need him. No, definitely not.
They are. Jim, a little dig for Spurs.
Get yourself back to Spurs, lad. You can tear your hamstring before the end of the year.
Yeah, I did find this amusing because Hungary had been hanging on a little bit at the end. They basically just crapped themselves and they knew a point was good enough. So you can understand where they're going from. They're trying to time waste a bit. And then Hal Grimson said afterwards, they wasted their own time, and that's kind of funny.
I mean, it's a heartbreaker for them. It's a heartbreaker.
It really is. I mean, they haven't qualified since 1986 to the World Cup.
Yeah. Hungary have famously never had a good side in international football. So
yeah, I can't.
When are they going to break that duck? Eh?
Yeah, nothing in the history.
I did feel bad for Dominic Szoboszlai. He's had a really good season, and he's a great player. And he looked absolutely dejected, as you would do. And I think sometimes that's the lot, isn't it, of a world class player in a kind of less than great international side. But in Hungary, I've enjoyed some moments in the Euros and stuff like that. So I mean, it's not been completely completely bereft of any kind of enjoyable moments. But to go out like that is a sickener.
Yeah, I saw a very weird thing with the Dominic Szoboszlai's celebration where he sort of he kind of put his hand to his nose, didn't he, in reality. But I saw an image before I'd seen the highlights of the game because thanks to UEFA's website, that is like kind of breaking into a government kind of security website. And it was of him doing this sort of Ronaldo kind of cry celebration, and it was AI. But it was so realistic that it completely fooled me at first. So be careful. Sometimes your banter hasn't actually happened.
It's true.
Interesting. Well, they're there. They're going to be in the playoffs, which will be held in March next year. To recap, you've got the 12 group runners-up participating in those playoffs, along with the 4 best-ranked group winners of the 24-25 UEFA Nations League that did not finish in their European qualifiers group stage in first or second place.
You've got to answer a quiz about that to get to the UEFA website.
You absolutely
watch the highlights.
So you've got 16 teams.
Yeah.
Going, for 4 places?
Oh, I know.
I said I know.
Yeah, it's great. It's going to be good. It's going to be very dramatic. And you don't forget, don't write off Graham Potter's Sweden. They're amongst that.
Incredibly, they are.
Northern Ireland as well. Yeah.
I should say, by the way, that if you want to send us any clips like Liam did with that kind of commentary and so on, you can become a friend of the Ramble too. Search patreon.com/Football Ramble or click that join button on YouTube to get involved.
Now, the official UEFA commentary of that moment was done by the legendary Paul Dempo Dempsey.
Yeah.
But for once, Dempo was out commentated by the RTE guys, for sure.
Indeed he was. And elsewhere in the group, Portugal, yes, they made sure. They beat Armenia 9-1. My favourite thing about this is that Armenia got an equalising goal.
Yeah.
But they scored 9 without Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Do they flow better without him?
It's also great that
do they miss that middle-aged man up top?
Yeah, maybe they do. When you think about the amount of football that footballers have to play now, and you think it's a home game against Armenia, surely you'd be forgiven in modern football to have half an eye back on your domestic league. Want to make sure you're in the team for the first 8 game back and all the rest of it. Nah. No. 92nd minute, I'll get the 9th. Yeah. Says Francisco Conce.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Bruno Fernandes knocks in 2 penalties.
Hat-tricks for Bruno Fernandes and João Neves. Great hat-trick from João Neves.
It was.
João Neves scored an absolutely incredible hat-trick for PSG earlier in the season. Yes. I think it was an overhead kick in it and a long-range screamer as well. Screamer. I don't know why I turned into Sean Connery.
Jim, he's
R.I.P.
João Neves. Very well.
That'll be why.
I'd say he's one to watch.
Yeah.
I really would.
Yeah.
I really would. But yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo, he'd already left the Portugal camp before this game.
Of course he has.
There's nothing for me here.
Back into his cryo chamber until
on his
he's
private
woken up
island.
again. Yeah.
Cry more chamber.
Yeah.
But it has been reported that the Portugal FA have put forward a case to FIFA for why Ronaldo should only serve a one-match ban, making him available for the start of the World Cup. I'm pretty sure as soon as that hits the desks at FIFA, they'll be like, "Oh, we've already sorted it, don't worry."
This is a formality. You don't need to send this in.
Under domestic rules in this country, I think it happened to Rio Ferdinand, you can get busted for a frivolous appeal, can't you? And you get an extra game.
Oh my goodness!
But they're not going to do that because they're quite simply corrupt. But if they did it properly, you should say, well, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
You flung your elbow into someone's like solar plexus. It was violent conduct.
But we have to be careful.
Two-game ban is right.
As England fans, because Rooney got a game reduced, didn't he?
But he's not playing anymore, Marcus.
Yeah. It will be very interesting
He's
to
very
see.
unlikely to be called up, Jim.
Yeah,
Am I right in
yeah,
saying that?
I would agree. We'd all enjoy
no,
it.
he served
but
the ban. He's not as a Dan situation. I'm saying ahead of the Euro 2012.
But it doesn't matter. That's done now.
All right.
But what will be interesting is if there's anybody else in a similar situation who doesn't get a reduced ban.
Right.
I'm sure
if
it's
you listen to this
unlikely.
and you're an international footballer,
If you're Lionel Messi, stick the head on someone and let's see.
Elbow someone in the chest exactly like Cristiano did, and we'll see. We'll do 5 or 6 players and get them to do it and see what the
the
mean average
more
is.
the sample size, the worse it will be for FIFA.
If you're Irish, don't chance it.
Yeah. Portugal don't need to do this.
No,
They don't need to do it. They've just won 9-1. They've got loads of really good
It
players.
sort of does them a favour. Oh, he can't play. Oh,
Yeah.
maybe we can play the footballer age footballers.
but he's made them do this, the Portugal
he has,
FA, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He is the Portuguese.
I can't really imagine a scene where Cristiano Ronaldo walks into the offices of the Portuguese FA and the people who work there stand up to him. And that's a problem.
I would say so. I would say so.
Stand up and salute him, maybe.
Probably, yeah, exactly.
But not stand up to him.
No.
Yeah, you certainly don't do that. Now, Luke, before we go for a break, you did mention Graham Potter. He lost his first game as Sweden manager, 4-1 away to Switzerland. Switzerland, the decent side, the top of the group. Sweden have been piss poor in this qualification campaign. They've got 1 point from 5 games. But they're looking good for the playoffs, though.
Little Nations League back door.
Yeah.
Switzerland are absolutely keeping up the tradition of looking really good. So my mind completely wanders to when it comes to Switzerland, when it comes to World Cups. Now, no, this doesn't happen this time, but generally speaking, they'll surprisingly win a qualification group over Portugal. They'll have to go through a qualifier how to get there. Then they'll do quite good in the group, look good without ever really firing, and then lose almost certainly in a really boring game in the second round on penalties to someone else quite unfancied.
Well, it was England in the Euros last one, in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and they beat France, didn't they? In which Euros was it?
Yeah, but they did.
They also
in
beat
2020, they knocked them out on penalties and they beat Italy, although Italy weren't.
Did they beat Spain in the group stage in 2010 as well?
In 2010, they did. They were early side,
Yeah.
But I think Spain ultimately had the last
Had the
laugh.
last laugh,
Not
yeah.
over Switzerland, but they won the cup.
Well, I think Switzerland are very much included in the world that Spain conquered, aren't they?
Are they too neutral?
They probably were neutral, yes.
Yes.
Congratulations on your World Cup. We don't observe it.
Yeah.
We're staying out of it.
If we do win this, we will not be lifting the trophy.
No, they will. They'll lift the trophy to like a very neutral height.
Yes.
They won't disrespect the trophy,
Yep.
but they won't lift it up high.
That's why FIFA House is in Switzerland.
Yeah, that's right.
They're not going to get any bother.
Absolutely.
All right, coming up after this, Belarus offered a lifeline to the Bonnie Scots. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with the listeners here. On Saturday evening, I sit down and I think, what am I doing on a Saturday night? My goodness, middle age is really.
What are you normally doing?
Oh, I'm
Strictly?
no, I would probably be.
Did somebody say just eat?
I'd be
tell you what it is.
painting the town all sorts of colours.
Why would you tell people when I can tell them exactly what you do on a Saturday night?
Go on.
It's Strictly.
No, I've never watched Strictly.
It's Did Somebody Say Just Eat?
Mm-hmm.
And then it is all of Michael Owen's England goals with Henry Winter on a Zoom call.
I would definitely do that if Henry would answer my Zoom call.
Oh, is he not picking up these days? I tell you what, Marcus and Henry have got Skype energy, not Zoom energy, actually.
Oh, I like that.
I would imagine it's probably something like Lethal Weapon on Netflix as well.
Yeah, a bit of that?
I wouldn't mind that.
No.
But the point is, Jim, I thought to myself, blimey, is this it for me? Is this what I do now? Sit down and watch Greece v Scotland on a Saturday night, and I'll tell you what, it did not disappoint.
Oh,
What an evening
your
that
wife
was.
you said to your wife, what do you want to watch tonight? And she said Greece, and you went, no problem. And you walked in with your T-Bird leather jacket on. So there's a bit of Greece for you.
Settle down.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Well, incredible game in Greece. Greece won it 3-2 against Scotland, of course. Scotland needed at least a draw to guarantee a shot at automatic World Cup qualification, and they still can qualify qualify for the World Cup. So they're safe. Their playoff spot's in the bag because they were guaranteed second spot, of course. But to qualify automatically without all that rigmarole. You
don't see them celebrating wildly to get the second place like Ireland did.
No.
Don't see Scotland lowering themselves to that, do you?
You don't. Very different reasons. But incredibly, they still can qualify automatically because Belarus, Putin's puppets, finally did the British a favour. I've upset a lot of people there, with that sentence.
Sorry, seriously, don't keep the politics out of the show because I listen to the show for not politics. For football.
All right, okay. Well, Denmark drew 2-2 at home with Belarus.
They did,
which was incredible.
No, I don't think you should even be able to mention the word Belarus,
right?
No.
Unless you bring politics into football.
Okay.
Yeah. So just say something else.
Denmark failed to win their final game against a politics team.
Yeah.
And they bugged it up basically. I mean, the game in Greece was incredible because Greece did a lot of the early running. They went a goal ahead. But then at the end of, when it went to half-time, I'm thinking to myself, well, Scotland probably should have, it should be about 3-3.
Yeah. It was a mad performance from Scotland in a lot of ways.
And Greece, like the whole thing, Jim, was brilliant.
Where does Scotland get off having that level of player and starting so badly against Greece in this game? It was inexcusable.
But also the third goal, they gave Christos Solis so much room. Now, he is a player that is a very obvious threat. You know, he's a big player for Club Brugge. You know that if you do a football podcast, so I presume you know it if you are the manager of an international team and the sort of, you know, the team that get the players prepared for their opponents, right? So much space, brilliant goal. But also, like, Scotland had some really great moments that led to absolutely nothing. Now, that touch from Ryan Christie for the chance where he squares it to Che Adams, who Che Adams is it, which is not even the worst Che Adamsing of the night, was so good. It was such a lovely moment of quality. But then the Ben Gannon-Doak one as well, later on. Some great work for him. It gets to Adams and his limitations just come to the fore. He's got to hit that first time.
I mean, I have Scottish blood within me.
Same.
Coursing through my veins right now.
Type A, Type B, Type C, Type Scottish. Yeah, that's how it works.
It's tartan.
Yeah, I'm a quarter Scottish, right? My mum's side of the family is Scottish. I don't consider myself Scottish when it comes to sport. I will support Scotland unless they're playing England, but I'm an England fan, right?
You don't have to qualify if you're going to slag off Che Adams.
I fucking am going to say, this is a big run-up to say, every fibre in my body somewhere that's Scottish somewhere was fucking angry with Che Adams. Yeah. I was so pissed off with how bad he was. Wow. He should... They've got other options.
That's what's mad about it. They've got other
options. He was appalling. There's no excuse for it. In a vital game, he was appalling. Yeah. It was so bad.
I mean, but you can't stress enough how much Belarus did them a favour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You really can't.
Absolutely. First of all, there's no way Christie should be squaring that. Well, there's a big gap at the near post. He should be. But
that's the funny thing, though. So you're right about the first touch, but his second touch is poor, which is why he has to square it. So that I mean, there were so many chances for Scotland, but they found themselves 3-0 down. And again, like you think, well, Greece have been so open at the back, and yet they're 3 goals up. Honestly, I can't stress if you didn't see this game how mad it was. They score 2 goals pretty quickly, and then Scott McTominay. Yes, it's a great save from the keeper, but he's got to put that away. So lucky that
hit the bar as well, McTominay.
Yeah, it's so lucky that Denmark didn't find a late winning goal. Because again, a point would have, if Scotland had drew, it wouldn't matter what happened in Denmark. Of course, you still go into that last game at home to Denmark, and I think what Andy Robertson was saying was probably quite right. If you offered us, you know, as he was saying, if you offered them, not winner takes all, because Denmark can draw the game and go through. But if Scotland, you've got that home tie against Denmark, you win that, you're through automatically. I think you'd take it.
I think you always, if you're the level
and they've got that, but only because of Belarus.
It's a long campaign now. I mean, points come and go. Belarus have done them a favour, but across the course of the campaign, if you had offered Scotland, I think, or any nation kind of the size of Scotland, a chance to have a home game in the final group game to win, to do your thing.
All agreed, but I'm saying, in a crunch game like this against Greece, where you just need a point to make sure you're still alive, can you be defended like that?
No, you can't. And you can't also be wasting chances like Adams did.
This is what's so interesting about this Scotland team. We all know they've got a lot of good players in there. We've seen them play regularly. all over Europe in the case of, McTominay and Billy Gilmour. But you just think if they could be slightly tighter at the back and slightly more clinical at the top, they'd actually be a really good team. They're not far off being a really good team.
I agree.
But they seem to really struggle when it comes to the point where they have to truly kind of show that,
Well, yeah, but I mean, they have been sort of reasonably tight at the back, which is kind of...
Sure, I mean, that's how they've got themselves into this position.
Remember,
It's been a good qualifying campaign. But this sort of performance feels worrying,
which is why I thought to myself, they need a point, and some people might say, oh, it would have been better off if they needed a victory to stay in, because then you set up in a slightly different dynamic. But I think that the fact that they just needed a point, again, just so open. And look, I love Craig Gordon, don't get me wrong, but 42-year-old Craig Gordon starting goal, the only match he has played since May was his testimonial.
He was actually good as well.
He hit decent, although the third goal he should have done a bit better. Again, it was just a slightly strange decision.
It's a problem position, though, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
And presumably someone who's actually playing is better than someone who's coming out of retirement,
Sure.
You would think. But as you say, he actually had quite a good game.
Yeah.
It's a really tricky one, that.
I just found it a mad evening because of what happened in both games.
They were appalling in Greece in the Nations League as well. They won 1-0 against them at home and they lost 3-0 in the return game. And they were really poor, Scotland. So they've got that in them. Jim's onto something, though. I feel the same. I think if you look through that 11 that played on Saturday night in Greece, I mean, plucky old Scotland and all that. I get it. I get the chat and I get the narrative. But if you look at Aaron Hickey, Andy Robertson, Lewis Ferguson,
John McGinn,
Scott McTominay, Ben Gandoke, Ryan Christie, they're basically all top level players.
Yeah.
Majority of those are playing in the Premier League or other equivalent top European leagues. So, I mean, really, they narrowly lost. The situation is the same as you've already said, but they were basically dead and buried. It was a massive comeback effort to get close to not getting hammered in Greece again. So it's disappointing. They should be, if they could be what Jim says, more of the sum of their parts, they would be a threat. I'm not going to win the World Cup, but they'd be a threat.
Can I just motion that they play Greece as often as possible? It's never dull, is it? When they meet,
exactly,
it's incredible.
That is fair. Well, their hopes of qualification still alive, as we say, and they need to beat Denmark at home on Tuesday. I did love that when the game finished and all eyes were on Denmark versus Belarus. I mean, I was one of the 80,000 plus people that were on the BBC, live updates for that game. Over 80,000 with Denmark versus Belarus. I mean, incredible.
Yeah, and also, there's a little twist, isn't there?
Well, there is a twist, Jim.
A little bug in the Danish camp.
There is, yes. Denmark have been hit with a sickness bug.
Someone sent a lasagna.
There was a square sausage, a very suspect square sausage going around.
Yeah.
The Rasmus Højlund and Joachim Andersen missed the Belarus match due to illness. There's also a member of the coaching staff that was ill as well. So a bit of concern for Denmark.
I mean, it could have been worse for Denmark. I mean, they obviously rescued a draw against Belarus. They were behind, though, weren't they?
They were 2-1 down.
Yeah. So it could have been worse for them.
My goodness. Let's stay with Scandinavian sides. Norway have qualified for their first World Cup since 1998. The manner in which they qualified, if you were new to football, you'd think, oh, well, this side, qualify all the time. I mean,
you think they're a giant?
Well, indeed. I think because of what they've been doing in qualification, one can become almost desensitized to it. But Norway, we talk about England's, impressive campaign and, it's been sort of perfect, not conceding and so on. Well, okay, Norway have conceded 5 goals in the 8 matches that they've won in this qualification campaign. They've also scored 37 of the buggers.
Yeah, if you look through the results of Group I that Norway tops, they beat Italy 7-1 on aggregate.
Yep.
They've got 5-0, 4-1, 11-1, 5-0. And 4-1 and 3-0 against Italy, as I said. So,
I mean, they've been stunning.
Let me put this out there, right? They should be really they should have their sights set on making a serious impression next summer. They really should, because I've seen them in the betting markets around 40-1 to win the World Cup, and they've qualified.
Yeah.
Right. Bearing in mind, a lot of teams haven't actually qualified yet. They've not got it done. So that's an incredible price for a team who've got such a goal threat. It's unbelievable. If you look at people talk about, we opened the show today talking about Harry Kane's now scored more goals in competitively than Pele, right, in international football. He's scored 8 goals in this qualification campaign. Erling Haaland scored 16.
Yeah.
He scored double what Harry Kane scored.
It's sensational. Like his scoring record is basically the same. And they've got some. I love the fact that old Sorloth, who's a proper centre forward, just be like, yeah, I'm on the wing.
Yeah,
can I play? I'll go wherever on the wing. Fine, yep, done. He's not going to be starting up.
Guardiola would have him at left back.
But even Strand Larsen came on and scored a lovely goal. Yeah. They've got three quality forwards.
Well, another player, Antonio Nusa, the young man playing for RB Leipzig. He's a good player, and he's performing. Martin Odegaard to come back as well.
Yes,
it's they're going to be the hipster choice. It's going to be brilliant.
I mean, I feel like they've almost transcended that. I think
you're probably right.
I mean, can they emulate what Sweden did in America in 1994?
That'd be lovely.
But look, they've been so good in qualifying, and again, I did admire old Esposito scored the Italian goal after 11 minutes. Italy needed to win. I think was it 9-0.
Yeah,
right. He scored when it got the
ball. It's on,
and that's angered them.
Yeah, I did love that. But the way Norway, like when Strand Larsen scored that fourth goal, the whole Norway bench ran down the touchline.
Yeah.
It shows you again the cohesion they have and the togetherness. But the spirit in that camp is sensationally good. And, the way they've done it, again, the last time they were at a major tournament was it 2004 in the Euros? And obviously the World Cup in 1998. So... as you say, they've qualified like Spain do normally, or England, but scoring so many goals, and you might again, if anyone says, "Oh, but it's not a great Italy side," well, it's not. But you go then win 4-1. 4-1 is an impressive victory away from home, or even at home in any qualification game, unless maybe you're playing San Marino. You think, how do they score? But
they've done it with a manager who relegated Wolves as well. So.
Maybe that's
sort of veering into mailbag territory here, but has there ever been a more golden generation? It's so extreme.
Yeah. Oh man, you got to say Norway celebrated World Cup qualification with Norway's Crown Prince Haakon singing "We're going to eat tacos,"
which isn't a Norwegian dish.
Well,
so
that's the whole point, right? Isn't it?
North America, bruv.
From Mexico.
Come on.
Okay, but surely he should have had that lamb stew they have in Norway, and put that in a taco.
Yeah,
because we're coming to Mexico.
Yeah,
we're coming inside you, Mexico.
Or do a poutine version
the Mexican
of it.
taco that is Mexico, and Norway are going right inside them.
Right. Okay. Important not to overanalyze that. But
over what?
The Crown Prince was harking on. Does that work? I don't know if it does.
Yeah. He sounds part Game of Thrones character, part rapper.
Yeah, part June as well.
Yeah, bit of June about it for sure.
Oh yeah, I like that. Crown Prince Haakon. Yeah. So they're going to eat tacos. You get tacos wherever you go in the States. I'm sure even Canada serve up some delicious tacos.
Sure they do. Sure you can find them if you need them.
Indeed, yeah. Erling Haaland was seen collecting 70 cheeseburgers the other day for the Norway team after they beat Estonia last week.
I love that he's the guy that's either gone to the restaurant or gone out to meet the kind of Just Eat guy.
But you know why that is, Jim? Because
just leading from the front.
Because he'd have said, you know what, we need cheeseburgers to celebrate this. And the manager's gone, come on, we're all having cheeseburgers.
We're athletes here.
And Haaland's going, I'm going to go and get 70 cheeseburgers.
And the cheese is going to be made with raw milk.
Yeah.
Cheese.
Who's stopping him?
Exactly.
No one's stopping him.
It is slightly concerning that they're basically just talking about food.
Yeah, all the
time. They're not at the tournament yet.
No, it's true.
Yeah, but they qualified though.
They're done.
Yeah, but
What?
Stay on the grind until then. Celebrate after you've won it, Erling.
Or grind the meat for some delicious cheeseburgers.
I see, Jim. It all makes sense in the end. So Norway are there. They've qualified.
I'm pleased they're there.
Yeah, I'm
It's going to be great.
Are they there on merit, though?
Because what you don't want is what we've seen far too often in the past, a world-class player never touching a tournament because of the nation he's from, and they've managed to get it done, so that's great.
Blimey. They'll be a force. They absolutely will.
I think they will. I think 40-1 for Norway to win the World Cup. They're not going to win the World Cup, but they could go deep.
Okay.
It's a lovely little bet for a trade if you're interested in that.
It's a lovely little bet. And by the way, little piece of advice for anybody if you are defending against Erling Haaland. He said this of Italy defender Gianluca Mancini. At 1-1 he started grabbing my arse and I thought, what are you doing? So I fired myself up a bit and said to him, thanks for the motivation. Let's fucking have it. In fact, I would just stay away from him on the pitch.
Yeah.
It was nice to see him against.
Stay away from him.
Yeah,
give him all the space he wants.
Offside, Jim. You've got to get him offside.
The first goal he scored, the ball came over, and it was kind of a mid-height volley of the side of his left foot, and that left foot is just a laser. And then he just scores again a minute later.
It was nice to see him up against Donnarumma again.
Yeah, it was.
So there we are, Norway. They're looking good for World Cup victory, according to some, but not Luke Moore. He's just saying they're going deep.
I think there'll be a threat. That'll be interesting.
There we are.
I think they'll beat England in the group stage.
There we are. The tacos all round.